We've got the Mazda CX-50 Meridian Edition.
And we're going on a safari for more leopard print skirts.
Sport mode.
And we're away.
Tons of power.
Good torque in this engine. That's what I like about it.
Same.
I love torque. You pay for horsepower, you use torque.
You sure do.
So we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves. We're in the Mazda CX-50. What's under the hood of this thing?
There are two engine options. We've got the 2.5 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder with a 6-speed automatic transmission, 256 horsepower and 320 pound-feet of torque with premium fuel. If you use regular fuel, you're going to get a little less power, 227 horsepower and 310 pound-feet of torque. This is standard all-wheel drive. You'll get about 635 kilometers, 395 miles with a full tank of gas.
Now the base engine is the same engine minus the turbocharger, 2.5 liters with 187 horsepower and 186 pound-feet of torque. You get around 687 kilometers or 427 miles to a full tank of gas. Well, we have the CX-50 back a year after it was introduced because this is the special Meridian trim. More on that in a second. Right now, we're going to get into what do you get with the regular CX-50.
The CX-50 comes standard with a 7-inch LCD display, a 10.25-inch display with Mazda Connect, wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, leatherette trimmed upholstery, heated front seats, 10-way power driver's seat, manual passenger seat, a heated steering wheel, an 8-speaker audio system, panoramic sunroof, and a power liftgate. In the US, many of these features are not standard. You have so many more trims to choose from. We'll get into those coming up in the video.
All right, Andrew's already got it in Sport. What else can we put it in?
You got to put it in S for subscribe, and if you can hit that notification bell, you'll be notified when all of our reviews drop, and then you can watch them.
And we do this, the couple car review twice a week. The first one drops on Wednesday.
We put another one out on Saturday.
So make sure you like and subscribe, but also follow along on Instagram. It's Motormouth_Andrea to see what's going on behind the scenes. For me, it's Motormouth_Auto, and the links are below the like button. This video is brought to you by Car Cost Canada. Get the dealer's cost, list of rebates, plus discounted interest rates. Use the promo code Motormouth to become an expert member and get extra searches. The link is in the description below.
Well, for those of you who know me, I'm a Mazda fan. I love the driving dynamics. There really is not a Mazda that disappoints me, and the CX-50 is no exception. It has an engaging drive, the steering is precise, and it takes corners with ease.
We've been traveling a lot lately down to California, and Andrea's now taken on Mazda. What's going on over there? Isn't it Mazda, Andrea?
Mazda.
Yeah, you are the Mazda fangirl. You know what? This is based on a similar platform to the smaller CX-30. They make it longer, and unlike some other vehicles they have, this has what's called a torsion beam rear suspension.
Yes.
And it's amazing what they're able to do with that. It's typically a more primitive suspension, but with these cars, they know how to tune it, and it has really good driving dynamics. So well done, Mazda.
This also comes standard with MI drive technology, so you've got normal mode, sport, an off-road mode, which is not for true serious off-roading, but for gravel roads, dirt roads, pothole-filled roads, all that kind of stuff. And this turbo model comes with a tow mode.
So I guess if you live in Montreal, you just leave it in off-road mode.
I think
to get through all those potholes. All right, Andrea, you know, some of you might know, Andrea and I both worked in radio for years.
Yeah.
And I used to be a disc jockey. And the traffic person would come on and say, there's a car stuck in the Meridian.
Oh.
And I would say, that's just not right.
Not correct.
It's a car stuck in the median.
Yeah.
But it happens all the time. I hear it on the radio. So we are stuck in a Meridian, Andrea. This is the Meridian edition. What's different about this thing?
Well, this isn't any more capable than other turbocharged models, but it does have different exterior accents. You'll notice that the hood has some distinctive graphics. It says CX-50 Meridian trim. It comes with 18-inch wheels and all-terrain tires, and also there is a rocker panel on the side too, but that's really it.
You know, we're seeing this trend where they're bringing out specialty trims with smaller wheels and bigger tires, so
Yeah.
more sidewall. That's to basically cushion the ride if you're doing any off-roading. Like Subaru does that with the Outback and so on. So it's a trend, and it's really for people that do have to take this to the cottage on the weekend.
Now, I want to point out that this suspension is quite firm. So when you're driving on the highway and you're on some rough road, you're definitely going to feel the road. And the steering is heavier. So if you're not somebody who loves heavier steering like myself, this might not be the best option for you. The CX-50 gets between 8.3 inches to 8.6 inches of ground clearance, depending on the model you choose. This Meridian model gets 8.5 inches of ground clearance. Wondering about the color? This is called zircon sand.
You know what I call it? Sand. I texted Andrea because I picked up the car. I said,
Yeah.
It's the sand one.
Yes, and I said, okay, I know what that is. This comes standard with LED headlights. You've got dual exhaust pipes. 17-inch wheels are standard, available 18 on this model, and 20-inch on the higher trims. It also has a temporary spare tire.
All right, then we turn our attention to the inside, and this is a departure from the CX-5, which is the best seller, and they've brought out the CX-50, which in my opinion is a little bit more of a wagon kind of vibe to it from the outside. But when you get inside, there's some similarities, of course. You've got the controller here for the screen and the dash. You know, it looks similar to other elements, but it's the fine details, like the baseball stitch on the dash pad here, in the doors. And look at this, Andrea. This is the first Mazda to come with a panoramic roof.
Yay.
So that is different than the CX-5.
Yeah, and this Meridian trim only comes with the terracotta color, so it's kind of special, but you can get black and terracotta on other models as well. There are a couple things that Mazda needs to work on, in my opinion, one being the analog cluster. You know, this is a modern interior, and the first thing I noticed when I got in it is that this is looking a little old-fashioned to me. I'd like to see a digital driver display. I know it's functional, it works, but just needs to look a little bit more upscale.
This has got the nice screen embedded in the dash, so it's not just a sort of iPad look stuck on the dash. They tried to incorporate it a little bit, and this is a nice thing, is that you can actually use the touchscreen when you're stopped or at very low speeds. But one of the PR reps from Mazda told us that there is a hack somewhere deep in the menu where you can get the touchscreen to work at all speeds.
Yeah, and you've got to dig deep. I haven't been able to find it yet, but maybe one day when we're on a Mazda Drive event, there will be a tutorial. Someone will give us a tutorial. One other thing I wanted to point out, which we're going to talk more about coming up in questions, coffee and cars, that Mazda needs to work on, is the seat comfort.
So this Meridian is the top dog in the Canadian market, not the case in the United States. So let's run through a few of the features and trims.
Well, in Canada, there aren't very many trims. It's the opposite in the US. You have more of a stripped down base model. So we'll start with Canada first. The non-turbo engine is standard on the base trim. So there's no turbo option on the base model. So you have to move up to the GT trim, and you can get the non-turbo or the turbo engine on that. That's going to get you quite a few more features, like ventilated front seats, heated rear seats, the 360 camera, Bose sound system, a power passenger seat, and driver seat memory. Now in the US, the base trim comes with an 8.8-inch display screen. But if you move up just one from the base model, you'll get the larger 10.25-inch display, as well as leatherette upholstery instead of cloth on that base model.
The preferred trim in the US adds a power liftgate, power driver's seat, and heated front seats. Preferred Plus, that's where you get the panoramic sunroof, and the premium trim adds the Bose sound system, a power passenger seat, and leather trimmed upholstery. The Premium Plus is where you get the ventilated front seats. The Turbo Premium model has the heated steering wheel, and the top trim adds the heated rear seats, a wireless charger, and onboard navigation. So here's me getting in the back seat. I would call the legroom and the headroom adequate, nothing really stellar.
Comparing the CX-50 to the Subaru Forester and Outback, the Toyota RAV4, and the Ford Bronco Sport, the CX-50 has some good front row legroom at 41.6 inches. The Forester has the most at 43.3 43 inches. Second row legroom at 39.8 inches is about the same as these competitors, the Bronco Sport having the least.
Then you lift the power liftgate and you have what I would call more of a station wagon, longer cargo area than a conventional crossover vehicle, and underneath the floor, oh, would you look at that? That is a real spare tire.
Cargo space behind the second row at 31.4 cubic feet is one of the smallest. It's the RAV4 that has the most at 37.6 cubic feet. Overall cargo space comes in at 56.3 cubic feet. The Outback has the most at 75.7 cubic feet.
How's your butt feeling, Andrea?
It's feeling pretty good. Oh, I want to say the heated seats are so hot.
I'm not going to take butt and hot and mix that together because that would be more comments. So hot, I don't know. Let's get into your questions.
Time now for questions, coffee, and cars.
Your questions from Instagram.
This has the same turbo motor as my little CX-30. Wondering if it feels sluggish hauling around that bigger frame.
This engine is really torquey, and I think that's the difference between this and, say, many other turbocharged engines that are really punchy, especially at higher end. This was developed for the CX-9 SUV, so it's got a lot of low-end torque.
Yeah, and you put it in sport mode, this thing goes. It's got a little bit of a sound to it. Definitely, you will never feel a lack of power, whether you're in the city or on the highway with this turbo engine. Any luck next time you see a Mazda rep asking if seats will receive a comfort upgrade? Fun car to drive, but the driver's seat is too firm for my preference. Yep, Mazda
You got to eat more potatoes. You got to eat more potatoes.
Mazda makes pretty firm seats. The CX-5 also has very firm seats. I would say that these are firm. Maybe not as firm as the CX-5. What do you think?
I agree. Maybe they're slightly better, but I did notice when I picked this up and I was driving it home, I'm like, yeah, these could be softer. That's one area that they need to work on.
Yeah.
The rest of the car is really good. The seat comfort could be improved. You know, they used to be married to Ford.
Oh, Ford makes the best seats.
And Ford makes really comfortable seats. So maybe they should at least, you know, reach out to them and say, can we borrow some seats?
We just need a little bit more cushion. And then another question we get asked a lot is the strip down the center. Can you feel it? I have been in the CX-50 in jeans. I didn't feel it. And now I'm in a skirt with tights, which are not very thick, and I still can't feel it.
Well, I'm in jeans with tights. And and I can't feel it. I don't notice it.
I don't notice it at all.
Hey, I'm the fussiest person when it comes to my back. I can be on an airplane and I say to Andrea, why would they put this the seam for the stitch right in the middle of my back?
Yeah.
I'm like the princess and the pea that way.
Yes.
And these don't bother me at all.
You're like our oldest son.
They're a little firm, but the stripe you don't notice.
No. We put out a lot of content each week on the Motormouth YouTube channel, and it's super easy to find.
All you do is go to the YouTube search bar and type in Motormouth, the name of the channel, then the brand you're looking for. In this case, it's Mazda, and all our videos pop up. It's that easy.
I see where Mazda is pushing it to get to the premium level, but realistically, can they compete with the Acuras, Lexus, and Genesis? Do they have what it takes? I think that they have a great mainstream product, but not necessarily premium. Mazda actually says that they're not competing with premium luxury brands, that they are trying to make the non-luxury experience even better. And these interiors that they produce are beautiful.
Okay, so Toyota has Lexus, Honda has Acura. What's the other one? Nissan has Infiniti.
Yeah.
Not that they're doing anything with Infiniti. And they do not have a luxury brand here at Mazda. So what they've done is they've developed signature trims that kind of push the envelope. And we saw the CX-90 interior. And that, I think, really does push up into the luxury space. So the nice thing is on the lower spec trims, the lower price trims, they really compete with mainline. And then on the top end trims, they're bumping into premium. I wouldn't say they're bumping into luxury. And now it's time for our hot topic. What's this one, Andrea?
Why is Mazda not getting into the hybrid or plug-in hybrid game yet?
Well, we were supposed to, by now, have been driving this model with a hybrid. We went to the launch a year ago, and they said by the end of the year, which was 2022, they would have a hybrid. Hello, we're still waiting.
I did send an email to Mazda to find out more about the hybrid model and maybe a timeline, but I didn't hear back, unfortunately. We know that the CX-90 is here. There is a plug-in hybrid option now. This CX-70 is going to be coming sometime this year. So they're working on it. It's coming. It's just taking a little bit of time.
Yeah, they're focused right now on launching the CX-90, the larger 3-row SUV, and then they'll turn their attention to the other models. But they told us it was going to be coming at the end of last year, so it is coming. Now, before we get into our vital stats, because I'm paying attention to the sound levels in here for our audio, when we record, I'm noticing that these tires are kind of loud.
Yep, the all-terrain.
Yeah, and we drove the Subaru, the Outback with the Wilderness trim, and it came with all-terrain tires. That vehicle was still remarkably quiet. So can this tow? We'll get into that and more in our vital stats.
Let's start with pricing. We'll do Canada first and then move on to the US. The base trim starts at just over $38,000, and this top Meridian trim is just over $48,000 Canadian. In the US, the base trim starts at just over $27,500, and the top trim is just over $42,000 US.
Here's the fuel economy for the base 4-cylinder engine. 9.7 liters per 100 kilometers city, 7.9 on the highway. That's 24 miles per gallon city, 30 miles per gallon highway. If you opt for this turbo engine, it's 10.4 liters per 100 kilometers city, 8.1 on the highway. That's 23 miles per gallon city, 29 miles per gallon highway. This turbo model can tow 3,500 pounds, the non-turbo 2,000 pounds. The warranty is unique in Canada. It's 3 years with unlimited kilometers. In the United States, it's 3 years with 36,000 miles. So you want a compact SUV, but you want something with a little attitude, maybe looking a little more rustic. What else can you buy?
For your consideration, 4 vehicles for you to consider.
Up first is the Ford Bronco Sport with 2 engine choices, a 1.5-liter EcoBoost with 181 horsepower and a 2-liter EcoBoost with 245 horsepower. It is a starting price just under $36,000.
The Toyota RAV4 Trail, or Adventure as it's called in the United States. 2.5-liter 4-cylinder, 203 horsepower, and a starting price just over $43,000.
The Subaru Forester Wilderness with a 2.5-liter 4-cylinder, 182 horsepower, and a starting price just under $41,000.
The Subaru Outback Wilderness with a 2.4-liter turbo 4-cylinder, 260 horsepower, and a starting price just over $43,000.
So there are 4 more adventurous crossovers for you to consider.
Lightning round. 2 things we like, 2 things we like to see improve.
I like this dynamic drive of the CX-50.
I like the kind of wagon vibe.
I'd love to see a digital instrument cluster in here.
I would like them to reconsider the tire choice. These are a little bit noisy.
If you're looking for a crossover with a sporty and dynamic drive, look no further than the CX-50.
CX-5, CX-50. Good to have choices. This video is brought to you by Car Cost Canada. Get the dealer's cost, list of rebates, plus discounted interest rates. Use the promo code Motormouth to become an expert member and get extra searches. The link is in the description below.